In the last video, we used the dado blade on the table saw to cut this notch that fit the tongue on the bench. Then we took a 3/4 inch round bit and rounded the corner to fit into the piece that was rabbeted. So we determined where this notch existed using the template. Now we are going to use this template to trace out the shape of the leg onto the billet of wood, and then we're going to cut it on the bandsaw. One thing I did to my template is I actually glued on this little piece of wood. What I use that for, I put it on both sides, is I use it to actually push against where the cut is. So that allows me to line up the leg the same every time. The other thing it does is it aligns it on the leg itself. As you can see, the bench has a 1/2 inch rabbet and a 1/2 inch rabbet. So this is made just a little bit shy. You don't want your bandsaw cut to hit the 1/2 inch point, because then it'll actually dig into the joint. So these marks are just a little bit shy. I'm going to cut it on the bandsaw along this line, but I'm going to have to carve it to get to the 1/2 once it's attached to the bench. The next thing we need to do is cut the front profile or back profile. What we're going to do is we're going to notch out this part of the leg, so we're left with 1 3/8 inches. Make that line. Put a little curve on here. We'll trace that with the bandsaw, making sure to stay away from the dado at least a 1/2 inch. And we're going to remove all of this wood right here. What this is doing is giving the leg some shape. So now we have a nicely shaped leg. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to sand each of the faces and then go around it with the router bit. I have the leg clamped to my worktop. I have my sander ready. This is a Festool RO150. The special thing about this sander is the Rotex mode. It essentially turns itself into a grinder. That's really effective for removing a lot of material. 6 inch, it's nice and wide so you can keep things flat. Currently I have an 80 grit pad of sandpaper on here. And my goal right now is to get this leg nice and flat on the edges that we used on the bandsaw. Here we go. We have the leg sanded nice and flat. So if you run your hands across there, you can feel no lumps or bumps. You want it to be nice and smooth. The leg is now ready for the router. The way we've cut the leg presents a bit of a situation when it comes to routing. This side we can route on the tabletop router, no problem. It sits flat, so we just lay it down and route the edge. This edge, however, because of the way the Maloof joint is designed and the way we shape the leg, this high point does not allow us to set this edge flat on the router top. So there's a couple different ways we can deal with this. One way is I have a router, I put it in my vise, have my router bit in. At that point you can pull the leg across the router. Problem is you don't get this full edge. You have to carve that by hand. The other way we can do it is using a donut on our router table. So I'll show you that now. This is something I've made on my router top to raise the bit well above the work surface. This allows me to router close to this notch and round the entire workpiece without it hitting the worktop. All it is I took 2 strips of ash, screwed them to my top, put 2 little pieces in here, rounded the edge. It's pretty simple. I'm pretty sure you can buy these online. They're called a router donut. It just sits around your router bit and raises your workpiece above the table. The next thing we're going to do is we'll just go to the regular router tabletop and do the other 2 edges. We started by using a 3/4 inch round bit to round the side that had the high profile joint. Then we took the leg over to the regular bench top router and routed the other 2 sides with the 3/4 inch round bit. Always making sure to stay away from the 1/2 inch mark of the joint. If you route too far, you'll start removing material from where you have the joint. You don't want to do that. This stuff here, this excess, we'll just carve that out.